Csec just around the corner. So grab a calculator and let we do some math. The question that I'm going to do is from January 2025. Is question 2. So the first question says to factorize the algebraic expression. A is x squared subtract 49. This is the difference of two squares. So we can just put x plus 7 and x subtract 7. When these two brackets are multiplied, you'll get back the same algebraic expression. Let's move on to B. Let's go on to question B. So question B is a quadratic, and it says x squared plus 2x subtract 35. To solve this quadratic, we would need to find the product and the sum. We need to find the product of negative 35 and the sum of positive 2. But firstly, before we do that, how do we find what the product and the sum is? Product, we multiply the coefficient that is in front of x squared, which is going to be a 1, by the constant, which is negative 35. So the product is 1 multiplied by negative 35, which gives us negative 35. And the sum is the coefficient that is in front of the x term, which is just 2. So now that we know how we found the sum and the product, we now need to find two numbers that when multiplied will give us negative 35 and when added will give us positive 2. We know that 5 multiplied by 7 gives us 35. So let's put a negative in front of the 5. So negative 5 multiplied by 7 will give us negative 35. Let's try addition. Negative 5 plus 7 gives us 2. So the two numbers that when multiplied will give us negative 35 and when added will give us 2 is negative 5 and 7. Now we're going to use those two numbers and put them into this expression. We're going to say x squared subtract 5x plus 7x plus 7x subtract 35. Now let's factorize it. So we can factorize from x squared subtract 5x. From this part, we can factorize the x, because x is common in both terms. So we'll left back with x subtract 5. From 7x subtract 35, we can factorize the 7. Then we'll be left back with x subtract 5. Notice how everything inside the bracket is the same on both sides. That is a way to tell if you're going correctly. Now we need to find a sign to put in front of the 7. How will we find this sign? We find this sign by multiplying whatever is in front of the bracket by inside the bracket. Remember that when we multiply negative 7, how do we find this sign? We find this sign by multiplying 7 by whatever is inside the bracket. But remember, when we multiply, we need to get back plus 7x subtract 35. Now, let's try a negative 7. If we put a negative 7, when we multiply, we will get negative 7x plus 35. So the sign will be positive. Now we put x plus 7, whatever is outside the bracket, plus whatever is inside the bracket. And there you have it. We have factorized Question 2 says, hence simplified expression. We have factorized the denominator and the numerator. So what we're going to do is just put it back. We're going to say x plus 7 and x subtract 7 all over x plus 7 bracket x subtract 5. We're going to cross out x plus 7 because it's common in both the denominator and numerator. And now we're going to be left back with this. And this is your answer. How are we doing so far? Are we getting through? Are we struggling? Let's continue. B. B says to rearrange the formula shown below to make M the subject. How are we going to do this? So let's say S is equal to K subtract M squared. What I'm going to do is switch the sides. I'm going to put this side on the left hand side and the S on the right hand side. So it'll be K subtract M squared equal S. Now I'm going to try to remove everything that's on the left hand side except M because they asked us to make the subject M. So I'll say negative M squared is equal to S subtract K. At this point, I'm gonna try to get rid of the negative sign, and to get rid of a negative sign, I'm gonna just multiply the entire equation by -1. So it'll be -1 multiply negative M squared, which is equal to S subtract K multiplied by -1. This will give us M squared is equal to negative S plus K. To get rid of the square sign, I just square root the other side, which will be square root of negative S plus K. And that's how we make M the subject of the formula. Let's move on to C. C says that Lisa has $56 to buy balloons for her party. They're telling us that she will buy no more than 70 balloons. No more than 70 balloons. They also told us the cost of one balloon for each color. They told us that she will buy more green balloons than red balloons, but she will buy at least 15 red balloons. They want us to write two inequalities to represent this statement that is given. So X is equal to red balloons and Y is equal to green. The first inequality you can put is the cost of each balloon with the amount of money she has. They told us that a red balloon costs 75 cents, so 75 cent X plus 50 cent Y is less than or equal to $56. That's one inequality. And next inequality is that the number of red balloons plus the number of green balloons must be less than or equal to. They also told us that the total of red and green balloons will be no more than 70. So it will be less than or equal to 70. Okay. They told us that the number of red balloons will be at least 15 balloons. So red, which is represented by X will be less than or equal to 15 balloons. They also told us that there will be more green balloons than red. So then green, which is represented by Y, will be more than 15 or more than. So green balloons that is represented with by Y will be greater than. We're at the last part of question 2. And how are you feeling about it? I'm sure you're acing this. Okay, so D. D says that given that Y is inversely proportional to X subtract 2, let's write this information that is given to us. They're saying that Y is inversely proportionate to X subtract 2. Now we have to replace the inverse sign with an equal sign. So it'll be Y is equal. But when we replace the sign, when we replace the inverse sign with an equal sign, we need to find a constant. So and the constant we can call it k over x subtract 2. In order to find this constant, they must give us some terms. And if we continue reading, x is equal to 11 when y is equal to 9. So x is equal to 11 when y is equal to 9. We can substitute these values into the formula to find for the constant. So it'll be 9 is equal to k, the k divided by 11 subtract 2. 9 is equal to k over 9. We'll cross multiply. K is equal to 9 squares. K is equal to 9 squared, which will give us 81. So the constant is 81. Now they want us to find for y when x is equal to 29. We already know the constant, so we can write back the formula. Y is equal to k x subtract 2. We know that x is equal to 29. K is equal to 81. So let's find for y. So it's 81 divided by 29 subtract 2. This will give us 81 over 27. And when this is tabulated, we'll get 3. And that is it. So let me know how was question 2.